as well at Jazzahead, one of the most important jazz trade fairs in the world. And we've been organizing delegations over the years at Jazzahead. And we can also say that Jazzahead, Brazilian music is always present at the fair. We have a lot of artists performing at Jazzahead in the official selection, like Quarta B, Amaro Freitas, Trio Corrente, Luderi, Roger Correia, Las Chias, Chico Pinheiro Quartet. We have also artists from Brazil at the off program, like Dani Gurgel. And this year we have Michel Pipoquinha. So we know Brazilian music is also very important to this fair. And people like our jazz and our music. So it's a very interesting trade fair to be in. I know that a few of you have been at Jazzahead a few times. So we are going to start with the questions, but please feel free to raise your hand or send the questions on the chat. And so now let's go from the chronological order of the events. So let's start with Jazzahead, and then we go to the Berlin. So I invite you, Guts, to please tell us about Jazzahead, everything you could tell us, how it's going to be this year, how does it work, the panels, the opportunities for networkings, and how to navigate. Please feel free. And then if you have more questions, we keep asking you.
Thank you for the introduction, Luisa. I'm very happy to be here, happy to see you all now on the screen, and hopefully meet you in Bremen in, what, 2 weeks? So Jazzahead has been around, as Luisa said, for 20 years. It's our 20th anniversary. It started really small, but grew quite fast because there obviously wasn't anything like that around. People have tried, but because it's this weird hybrid of a trade fair, conference, and showcase festival, it's really unique. We have 3,000 plus professional visitors coming every year from over 60 countries. I think we're at 63 countries this year. And if you look at this number, 3,000 professionals, at least 150 of those are accredited journalists from all over the world, from Downbeat to Jazz Forum in Poland to Jazzwise in the UK. Pretty much everyone sends representatives, as well as radio stations and TV stations. I was told that as of tomorrow, if you're registered, you can use our platform Talk to find out who exactly is registered already, and to communicate with them, and to find a way to work with other people to find out who is there, what they're doing. They're also listed as with certain interests, what, you can see which festival is there, which organization, which label, and send them a message previous to Jazzahead already. This year, Sweden is our partner country, which means that out of the 38 showcases we have, 8 have been selected from Swedish bands. We start with a grand opening with a Swedish big band with the US duo Noor. I don't know if you're familiar with them, Louis Cole and Geneviève Artadi. They're opening with a few Swedish guests. That's on the Wednesday evening, and then on Thursday, the Jazzahead really starts. I mentioned these 38 showcase slots. They're being selected by juries. I just heard that Luisa was a part of one of the juries before. The juries change every year. There are 5 juries for different modules, as we say, but in the end, the program, you don't really see whether or not it's been selected in the overseas or European or partner country module. You just see the showcases there. Yes, Daniel, I agree. And they're actually doing new songs, which is great for us, but also a huge problem because they won't allow us to film them because they haven't been released yet. So nowhere is, but we're working on it. I didn't see your full question. There was something about relation there. Let me see where the chat is.
Sorry.
Yes, the connection with Sweden.
Yeah, I just stopped
Is the
by.
band.
Like, I just got here, so I'm sorry. I
That's
was
fine.
listening to you. I know they're American duo, and we were talking about the Sweden participation as the invited country. But and then you got to say about Nowhere, which is a duo that I know pretty much, and I was just wondering if they have any relationship with Sweden, or I'm just tripping here. I'm sorry.
No, no, that's fine. It's a valid question. And the thing is that they have been working with this Swedish big band for a while, the Norrbotten big band. Genevieve
Okay,
Attali did her last album with them,
okay, I get.
and Lewis Cole and them have played with them a while. So they did a new program. So we're always trying to make these connections between the countries, between the nations, between people. I mean, that's really what Jazzahead is about. It's a big networking event. It's the place where you meet people that you've always wanted to meet or that you never knew you needed to meet. It's a great opportunity, and we're trying to sometimes force it a little bit by inviting or making these unusual connections. So the 38 showcases, it's, as I mentioned, we have these sort of modules. 30 are 30 minutes long, and 8 from the overseas connection are 45. So Michael Pipoquinha is going to be playing 45 minutes. We also try to get bands gigs around Jazzahead through this tool that we've developed, Co-Proc Music, which might be interesting for you as well. There's a presentation at the Jazzahead. Please feel free to go there. It's a unique tool that can that's already being used by some clubs, by many clubs in Germany and France especially. But there's room for growth, and we've been organizing some tours around Jazzahead for our artists already through that tool. It's only available for bookers. It's only available for a club that says, I want to book this artist. And I don't know anybody in my country who also wants to book them, but maybe there's someone in France or Italy or Spain that could contribute, and that's what we're working on. But that's just on the side. The juries that we put together every year are selecting these showcases. So, of course, the juries are only published after the fact. Nobody except for us knows who's on the jury until Jazzahead comes around. If you want to apply for a showcase, the deadline is usually in October, but please follow our newsletter that we send out regularly. It will let you know when the deadlines are for this. I mentioned the grand opening. There's also a club night, which Luisa mentioned, which is sort of the fringe festival on Friday night, where 45 clubs in Bremen are hosting jazz and jazz-related bands. It's a bit of a tug of war because we try to keep people at the showcases, but then, obviously there are some people who want to go to the club night. But that's also because we want to bring in the people of Bremen. As many of you know, if you go to a showcase and it's only professionals, the reaction can be different than if there's a real audience that wants to see the band and enjoys the music for what it is and doesn't prejudge or think, will this work in my club or at my festival? So we try to get as many real people into the gigs. And I think if you've been there or if you've seen some of our videos, you see how it works. We try to put some, well, not restrictions, I was going to say, but prerequisites on the bands that we select for showcases. We want to make sure that they are established bands in the way that they really know what they're doing and they are a band. Oftentimes in the past, people have said, oh, wow, Jazzahead is a great opportunity. Let's form a band. Maybe we'll get selected and maybe we'll be famous. That could work, but it's not our idea. Our idea is to have someone who already has a standing, who probably has management, who maybe has a label, who has a track record, so that the opportunities for them in other countries will be wider and more open and more available. And also they can commit to during a tour when such an opportunity arises. To do this, someone has to register for Jazzahead, as you all did. Then you can suggest a band for one of the showcases, and it's, as I think, it's pretty self-explanatory. The bands provide videos and music and all kinds of details. The more professional, the better. We've had it in the past that bands were not quite ready with their video or sent in a video of something that featured a different set of musicians, or, you know, bass player, drummer, and percussionist, TBA. That doesn't go across so well with juries usually, because then it doesn't feel like it could be a real band. So I think it's important also from my experience to be on the juries. We've had 821 applications this year. I had the pleasure of going through all of them. The 5 juries obviously only went to the 150 to 200 that they had allotted. But I can see the quality of music that's out there. And as I mentioned, when we have participants from 61 countries, it's really important to look outside our own borders, our own comfort zone. It's often my experience that we see bands that are highly successful in their own country that don't make it to the showcases because there will be someone from another country that says, well, we already have something like this. We don't need to import a funk band from Japan unless they're really, really good, because we have one here. We would like something that is original to the country where the band is from, which, of course, to you all, it may seem self-explanatory, but I think it's also important to say that there is a big love of Brazilian music, especially with a younger crowd. I see we have many younger Brazilian artists that come on tour here, not necessarily just jazz artists. I'm just thinking of Cesar, for instance, who's playing often in Germany and being quite successful, I think. But there is sort of a preconceived notion. You know, some people are still stuck in the bossa nova, or thinking that Brazilian, oh yeah, it has to be samba. Or so I think there's also important to have artists like Amaro Freitas or Edimota or Michael Pipoquinha that can bring something unique and uniquely Brazilian, but change these, you know, the preconceived notions that people may have. So I don't know. I could run on for at least half an hour, but I don't want to steal too much of your time. And I'm sure you probably already have some questions that I'd love to answer.
Yes, thank you. No, great. We are going to first move to Lua, so she can tell us about the set of activities that she's organizing at in Berlin alongside with BMA. Livia is very collaborating very much with this activity, and also Danielle. So Lua, please let us know everything about what is going to happen in Berlin.
So, good afternoon, boa tarde todo mundo. I will continue in English so girls can also, follow. I used to work, before I worked for the Berlin Music Commission, I worked for Piranha Arts AG that also is the owner from the WOMEX. So and my wish was always to bring this different type of Brazilian music to the people, and not only the samba and nowadays the funk music. So we have such a big variety. And the idea behind the event was the embassy is to get to make a little music market, to get to know the German market a little bit, and also to show the German producers and bookers what they can get from Brazil. So we thought about a few hours with some speed dating, a little panel, and in the end of the day, a little show that we can do first the hard work by doing the networking part and get to know each other, and then have a conversation with the people that I think that makes sense. So we have some German Brazilian bookers Brazilians that lives in German, that knows a little bit from both sides and can explain the specific things that you need to know between the lines, because it's always an intercultural communication that you need to get behind the specific demands that you need in certain countries. And also to two of you, if you are willing to explain how the things goes in Brazil, because we have a lot of people from show houses, we have bookers. I invited also institutions, festival owners. So that's a big melting pot of people that I think it's a nice variety. And for me, it was also important to not only invite these CEOs, but also producers and people that you can think about a featuring, because I think that's also a nice way to enter the market by featuring or make a featuring already with established musician that works in Germany. So that was the idea behind the whole thing. Actually, the organization part is mostly on the Brazilian embassy. They have really strict rules, as you know, and it's taking a little bit longer than we thought for the replies from Brazil, since our president Lula is coming to Germany next week also. He is at an event in Hanover, and therefore the whole embassy, it's a mess. But we're trying to figure everything out, and I hope that by end of this week latest we can give you full responses to all the questions you asked for. Livia passed already a little list with questions that you had, and I'm working with it, and we will have an extra meeting with Bernardo, the person in charge of the culture sector in the embassy in Berlin. And I hope that you all come over, because I think it will be great. We have really nice people from all over the country. I tried to get also some people from Hamburg, from the big festivals like Alp Jazz, and organization like the Jazz Union. And I think that could be a good match to put all in one room.
Thank you, Lua. Yes, I think it's for those who can go for both for the fair and also head to Berlin. Usually, now you travel to Hamburg or to Berlin. It's going to be a great opportunity, and that's what we try to do to take the most of the moments we are abroad and we are connecting. And Berlin, of course, is a very important hub for the music. So it's also an opportunity to go beyond jazz as well, right? Because Jazzahead, of course, is more focused on jazz. So before we can open for the questions. Feel free to write on the chat or raise your hand. But before we go there, Götz, you mentioned already, like, and I saw on we know that you have to have access to Jazzahead. So soon, we promise you guys, you have access to Jazzahead very soon. But after that, so you can download the app, you can navigate, right, Gus, and see who is attending, try to arrange a meeting, send a message. There's still matchmaking meetings during Jazzahead, and how people can apply to have the matchmaking meetings. This is something that they have to do previously, or?
That's a really good question that I can't answer right now. But I know we have an area that we reserve for this, and we have certain times where there are these matchmaking sessions. I think it makes the most sense to look at our conference schedule to also see who's at the conferences. And after every panel, there will be an after panel meeting session, basically. So we're going away from someone in the audience coming up and asking a question. We move everybody over to this area where they can ask questions directly, and the questions can be directly answered, and there's a more one-on-one situation. And I know that INSA, I think, is organizing these speed meetings. If you've applied, then INSA Danke is probably one of your contacts. She's definitely on the website, or she can relate you to the person who has this. But the best is actually for you to go to Talk, is the name of this platform, TALQUE, that you will find access to with your accreditation, and to really make those connections there. And by the way, Luani, not only the people from Elb Jazz are there, they also at the Hamburg booth, of course, but my friends from Reeperbahn Festival will also be at Jazzahead, because, you know, we're trying to make people understand that they need jazz or need more jazz in their life. Reeperbahn Festival, I was on the board there a long time ago when there was more jazz. We're trying to go back there, so just everybody work together.
Nice to hear. I also sent an invitation to Detlef.
Right.
Just a quick thing to the audience here, that we are also, BM&A is also organizing a matchmaking meetings over there. So very soon we're going to also inform you who is going to be the professionals available for us, for our community, and for our delegation. We also will have a booth at Jazzahead, which I think, right, it's important to make more awareness of our delegation. It's a space where we can have meetings, we can leave our material. We have a catalog with all the associates at BM&A. And also, now a quick question for you, Götz. That after attending a few trade fairs with all this, you know, the world most digital, do you think people are willing to receive CDs or vinyls? This is one question. And sometimes, like, I know a few programmers who like to listen to music, like to be approached and say, hey, listen, see, check my iPad, and and please can you hear my music, but some of them don't like. So what is your point of view on that?
I think, well, a vinyl is pretty much a business card that you can't avoid, right? So if you're into this music, if you're into this medium, and many more people are, if you have your business card like this as the vinyl, it will maybe, even if people don't listen to it, it will stand in their way. The name will be out there. They will look at it. It's expensive too. So of course, be selective. In my experience, many people are really happy to tell you whether or not they still use one medium or the other. There are those who have gone completely digital and who are fine with just, a card with a QR code or some kind of a link. That's totally fine. But there are those who are really happy to have, a good quality vinyl in their hands, that they can use also for DJing. Or, I mean, if I really listen to music, I listen to a vinyl. If I need to listen to something professionally, yes, I listen to it digitally because it's more easily accessible. But if I sit down and hear a full album, it's mostly on vinyl because I'm just too lazy to get up and skip to the next song. It's much easier done when you're on your computer and you just have files. As for walking around with an iPad and playing music to people, personally, I don't like it too much because I need time and space to do that, and I'd rather enjoy the music on my own or in a quiet space or in a concert than to be at this trade fair where everybody wants something from everybody else, and there's so many people running around, and all of a sudden you have a headphone on and you need to concentrate on an iPad. But there are others who like this and who need this as sort of an initiation into somebody's music. So I can't really generalize, but I think it's nice to have a product if you have it, if it exists, and to use it sparingly. Don't give it out too much, but if you find someone that you really think you want to work with or who needs to remember your artist's name, I think vinyl is your best bet.
Cool, thank you. Now to Lua. Gek already mentioned a little bit the interest in Brazilian music. Like we have this, of course, this audience that always see Brazil as samba or music to dance or bossa nova, and we are much more than that. We know that, of course, the continental country. And what is your perspective? You work very close to Berlin and to Hamburg, and what do you think? Like maybe the perspective in Germany itself or in Europe for not only for jazz but the interest in Brazilian music in general.
I think that especially the last 2 years with the cinema and the successes we had with Fernando Torres and Wagner Moura, I think that there's a bigger focus also on this type of music, not only the funk music, not only samba, but the people are getting to know specific type of music that you are chosen by a curation. And I think that Gen Z is getting more and more into older music too. They are really curious about the things that was before them, since they are getting to know new perspectives beside all the AI generated music that they listen to now at Spotify and all the other platforms. And I have a good feeling about that. I think that we can approach a little bit more. We can be a little bit more, brave to show another side from Brazil and what's the music about, because we have such a big variety. For example, just to give an example, Hamburg and Berlin, they are really focused on forró and samba parties. But what about the, I don't know, chorinho? What's about the Vaishami? What's about maracatu? So there are other possibilities to get into culture and to show what the Brazilian continent has to offer for. And the last years, I think we are getting slowly into models where we can find some niche. There's a lot of niche people that are interested in different hear and listening consumptions. There's a lot of listening parties growing now, and also a lot of listening cafes, especially in Berlin. I think we have around about 10 listening cafes where the people go to listen to vinyl and go to listen to music. So there's a shift in the mindset, I would say. I don't know, how do you see it, Götz?
I think you're right. I think this need for real music and this curiosity about music is absolutely there. And to me, it's fascinating because bands that I used to love when I was a teenager, one of my favorite bands was Azimuth. I loved everything they did. And now my 25-year-old colleague is coming to me with the same records that I had back then and saying, "Oh, have you heard this band? They're amazing. Ivan Conchi is so..." Like, yeah, wow, yeah, play it to me. Wow, sounds good. And this is great. This is really wonderful that there is, as you said, Lua, I don't think it's even perceived in such a way. You know, it used to be that you listen to this or that, and then it was exclusive. You couldn't listen to this kind of music. No, if you go to a Marcos Valle concert now, you'll find the audience is from 8 to 80, and everybody is there, and people just love. Also, I mentioned to Luisa, Ejimota came up with this kind of revived this AOR yacht rock kind of genre, Steely Dan, all this kind of music, and now people are listening to all these Brazilian artists who did that back in the 80s. A friend of mine from Washington, D.C., John Murph, who's also writing for Downbeat magazine, he was just in Brazil, and now every day he's posting records that he bought in Brazil. The other day he posted a record by Sergio Boré, who used to live in Hamburg and who I did a record with back in 30 years ago. and now Sergio contacted me and said, "Wow, you're still alive?" I was like, "Yeah, and so are you." So there's a young audience to really give a long answer to your short question, that is curious about this music and wants to discover what it's all about. And Brazil is perceived as a music country. So the interest is definitely there.
Guys, if you don't have questions, I'll keep asking things for them, okay? So I have one more, good. And also to Luane, you mentioned the profile of people and professionals attending both events, but we usually think a lot about buyers from festivals and programmers. But also we have music publishers, music advisors, like for cinema, for publicity, for advertisement. So are we going to have professionals in this area as well? And also, is there going to happen a panel about that so people can understand how to approach music advisors?
Willst du anfangen?
Du kannst gerne.
Super. So yeah, I invited some journalists and also some radio stations and this type of music people, mostly actually for Berlin specific. Everyone is working with everyone. So if you know a person, he normally works with cinema, with theater, with a bunch of other people. So I try to make a mix between the people that works in institution and radio station and television, but also works with these people. So they don't have to be necessarily in the film industry, but they have the contact to the film industry. And it's like in Brazil too. If you have the right contact, you have the good access to the things. I think that's nowadays it's a way to go. If you have a strong network, if you have a good presentation, a good pitch, I think that's the most important, that you need to have a good pitch and a good presentation of your product or of your artist. Then there's always someone that can indicate you to the person that you need to talk to. And in Berlin specific, it's like most of the artists are also bookers and are also working at a festival. So I barely know an artist that doesn't really works also in a festival during summertime. So all of them are producer, booker, manager, and artist in one. And I think that's the biggest advantage that they have, because you have all in one and you can decide if you want to do a featuring with them or if you want to play at their festival. Götz, was sagst du dazu?
Sehe ich ganz genauso. The interesting thing is that we tried to put together a sync panel, and many of my contacts in sync were like, oh my god, then we get in, you know, then everybody wants something from me. I'd rather discover things myself. It's also my experience from a label side. If you give if someone, a sync guy, comes and says he needs a specific song for a film or for an ad, and you send him exactly what he wants, he'll find the B-side on the one that you just gave him on top, because you like him, because he needed to discover it himself. So it's very hard to make this, you know, to approach them in such a way where you push something on them. We have some sync people there, but we're trying to push them towards the showcases. They will be at the fair during the day. And if you have an interesting proposal, they will find you, because they need you more than you need them in the end. And then it's also very, very specific. As you know, we need 30 seconds with a 120 beats per minute and vocals that say something about ice cream. And not everybody has that.
Well, guys,
I think also,
sorry.
Just one thing that it's important to know. Most of the festival in Germany right now is really looking about the key change and the gender gap. So they are really trying to make the balance between male and female and flinter artists. So that's also something that you have to have encounter when you approach or want to show them your catalog. Because that's something that are really getting more and more important, luckily, in Germany and also in other parts of Europe, that they are really trying to have this balance between male and female voices on the festival, so that it's not only anymore a male party. And if you know that, I think then you can think better about what you want to offer them also as a catalog, and you can prepare yourself a little bit better for it.
Great. Well, we are running out of time, so I don't know if you want to say your last words. And then if people could stay a bit longer, we're going to talk in Portuguese about, some practical orientations and about the prices and everything. So if you want to join us at the end, this is for the audience. So thank you so much, Lua, and thank you so much, Getz. If you can give your final words.
Come to Germany.
Exactly. Lonnie, when is your event in Berlin?
It's on the 27th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all great because they need to be
Of course,
really shorted. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If you have time, you are warmly invited.
I would have loved to come, but on that Monday, it's impossible.
You will sleep. Yeah.
I wish. But same here. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Bremen. What Luani has to offer in Berlin seems also like a really worthwhile proposal. I would go if I were you. I would go if I was me, if I had the time. And thank you very much for putting this together, and see you in Bremen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Tchau, tchau.
Bom, pessoal, obrigada novamente.
Gente, eu vou me despedir, tá? Que eu tenho que trabalhar, mas qualquer coisa, só escrever, tá?
Tá no final
Muito
da tarde,
obrigada, Lua.
né?
Obrigada, Lua.
Tchau, tchau.
Bom, gente, obrigada pela presença. Vocês ficaram mais quietinhos, né? A gente podia, mas tudo bem, eu fui perguntando. Agora a vida, vamos apresentar aquele material que você preparou. Eu acho que a maioria das pessoas que estão aqui, pelo menos algumas que eu conheço, já estiveram no Jazzahead, algumas já são associadas da BM&A, mas quem sabe quem assistir depois, né? Ou enfim, quem não for, nunca tenha se associado, pode conhecer mais de como funciona, né? Quer projetar? Vida,
Sim.
por favor.
Bom, falando um pouco da agenda, né, gente? Desculpa, Luísa, quer falar?
Imagina, pode falar, pode falar.
Falando um pouco da nossa agenda, ela já está disponível nas redes sociais também, para vocês ficarem de olho, anotar na agenda. Aqui no chat, eu acabei de enviar para vocês o link do formulário para vocês preencherem as informações para a gente, para o catálogo, para vocês irem para a feira com bonitinho o material de vocês exposto, né, no stand brasileiro.
Antes de você sair daquela tela, rapidinho, a vida mostrou a agenda, né, gente? Então, assim, logo depois, no mês seguinte, tem Rio to See, a gente vai também publicar para os associados, vão ter 20% de desconto para o Rio to See. Em breve a gente vai publicar isso no site também. A gente está organizando também um desconto para Circularte, enfim, para todas as feiras a gente vai tentar fazer isso, né? Que já é uma coisa que sempre aconteceu. E, enfim, então fica ligado, porque tem muita coisa acontecendo. Eu sei que não dá para ir em todas, mas, né, às vezes vale a pena conhecer mais, divulgar para quem tem, de repente, algum artista que tem um perfil mais parecido. Pode seguir.
Aí, falando só um pouquinho sobre o catálogo, né? A gente está aberto com ele para receber as informações até o dia 13, ou seja, na semana que vem, para dar tempo da gente poder produzir esse catálogo, né? Então, o que vocês vão precisar enviar para a gente? Essas informações que está aparecendo na tela. Então, aqui no chat já está o link e a gente vai mandar também no grupo direto para vocês, porque se, né, fechou a live, não abriu o link, perdi, não tem problema, a gente vai enviar também no grupo do WhatsApp. Aqui é a parte de sócios, né? Aí eu acho que você pode comandar a partir daqui, Luísa.
Tá bom, Vida, obrigada. Então, acho que para quem ainda não é sócio, a gente, enfim, oportunidade de falar um pouquinho, né, para se tornar sócio da BM&A, tem uma anuidade de R$ 1.500, mas essa anuidade, ela é 100% revertida para compra de uma credencial de uma feira oficial. E quando a gente está falando feira oficial, Jazzahead, South by Southwest, Omex, acho que Daniel e Lívia podem, né, me complementar. Então, é o cashback, o que a gente chama de cashback, mas às vezes as pessoas, né, ficam em dúvida, então eu estou tentando falar até de outras maneiras. Então, assim, se pagou R$ 1.500, esses R$ 1.500, eles podem ser usados para comprar a credencial da feira. Então, se a feira custar R$ 500, você ainda vai ficar com 1.000 de cashback, né? Se ela custar 1.500, mesmo com os 40% de desconto, que é mais ou menos o caso do Jazzahead, né? Fazendo aí a conversão, pegando o valor mais o VAT, que dá 19%, que são 19%, mas enfim, taxa de SAR, etc. Os 40% dá mais ou menos esse valor. Então, praticamente é como se você não pagasse anuidade, né? Então, tem esse benefício, além disso, tem desconto das credenciais, como eu já falei, mesmo que depois você já usou o seu cashback, quer ir para o Omex, vai ter 40% de desconto. Então, a gente tem várias feiras que a gente tem stand, como o Jazzahead, como a Womex, então tem esse espaço que a delegação brasileira que é associada ao projeto pode usufruir, pode marcar reunião lá, a gente sempre tem alguém lá, ou agente da equipe, ou um recepcionista, eventualmente até tradutor, né, Lívia e Dani, então são coisas que a gente busca contribuir para os associados, né, estarem melhor representados ali. Como eu falei, o catálogo, a gente faz algumas rodadas de negócio também em algumas feiras, então teremos rodada de negócio especial da BM&A no Jazzahead, vai ser divulgado ainda os nomes dos profissionais que vão ser convidados, e são para os associados, exclusivamente para os associados. A gente vai ter também uma rodada de negócio no Rio to See, a gente costuma ter também no Womex, enfim. E daí oportunidade de networking, não só com esses profissionais de fora, mas também oportunidade com os próprios associados, né? Um vai conhecendo o outro, um pode apresentar né, para os seus contatos. A gente faz capacitação e treinamentos, como a gente está fazendo hoje, né? Um momento para a gente ter essa experiência. Isso é aberto para todo mundo, mas é um momento que os associados também podem fazer perguntas, podem entender melhor como navegar nessas feiras. Além disso, a gente faz collabs durante algumas feiras, então a gente posta um vídeo, isso a Dreamland tem capitaneado muito bem, então a gente faz um vídeo com o associado, a gente coloca nas nossas redes, a gente quer também que todos se sintam valorizados, a gente quer divulgar o trabalho de todos, e é isso. Daí, o que a gente pede em contrapartida, né? Além, né, dessa anuidade que tem, a gente tem que ter um termo de adesão, basta ter um CNPJ. E no final da viagem, no final das missões, a gente pede os comprovantes de gastos com a viagem, ou seja, print de passagem aérea, hospedagem, seguro viagem. A gente sabe que esse não é um recurso que vai ser reembolsado para o profissional, mas isso contribui para a gente ter junto com as nossas contrapartidas com a Apex, porque afinal, para a gente pagar a stand, para a gente conseguir subsidiar 40% nas credenciais, a gente precisa, é um recurso do convênio com a Apex que a gente precisa também entrar com essas contrapartidas dos empresários associados. Então, é uma coisa muito simples, mas que a gente pede, e também a pesquisa após o evento, que é para dizer como foi, né? E a gente também sugere que as pessoas saibam antes, né? Que elas leiam antes o que a gente vai pedir na pesquisa, até para poder mensurar ao longo da feira, né? Geralmente são perguntas: quantos contatos você fez, quanto você espera gerar de negócio. Isso não é necessariamente, né? Às vezes é uma estimativa, não é uma certeza, mas a gente trabalha um pouco nesse âmbito. Eu acho que é um pouco isso. O Dani está com a mão levantada.
Eu queria falar sobre isso, porque é sempre uma questão que a gente pena muito para fazer as pessoas entenderem, mas para todo mundo que está aqui, como é que a Apex raciocina um projeto setorial? O projeto setorial é o Music from Brazil, é a parceria que a gente faz junto com a Apex, né? A união da Apex com a BM&A gera um projeto, que é o Music from Brazil, que é chamado de projeto setorial dentro da Apex. E o raciocínio dela é o seguinte: tem um X milhões de reais, isso é aberto, inclusive, é transparente, né? O convênio da BM&A é ao todo 8 milhões de reais para 2 anos, um pouco mais, porque geralmente prorroga esse período, sendo que 50% disso é pago pela Apex, 50% disso é pago pela BM&A e pelos associados. Então, a Apex bota metade do dinheiro desse projeto e a gente da BM&A, junto aos associados, botamos o resto. Como? tudo que aqui da BM&A, que vai de pagamento de equipe, de consultor que a gente tem, de estrutura que a gente tem extra, tudo que sai do escopo do projeto da PEX que a gente paga aqui, a gente apresenta as notas para computar como contrapartida. E os associados, e os participantes do projeto, os associados, que eles também podem apresentar, podem e devem apresentar contrapartida para contribuir com isso também, única e exclusivamente com duas coisas, que é passagem aérea e hospedagem. Então, por isso, toda vez, quando acaba uma ação, a gente pede para todo mundo que envie o recibo de hospedagem, que envie o recibo de pagamento da passagem aérea, que é um jeito que a gente vai e fala e mostra para a PEX, ó, estamos aqui todos investindo, ao mesmo tempo que vocês estão investindo num stand, numa recepcionista, num tradutor, o que for, todos esses benefícios que tem, a gente também está fazendo aqui na nossa parte, a gente pagando aqui nossa equipe, a gente paga aqui nossa infraestrutura, os participantes estão pagando a hospedagem e a passagem aérea, e pronto. E aí, assim, se conclui um convênio onde tem esses dois lados, onde cada um gasta 50%, onde cada um põe 50%.
É isso, gente. Os projetos setoriais, eles acontecem em vários setores, né? O nosso é da música. Então, tem outros setores da indústria, né? De filme, de algodão, de pedras, enfim. E o projeto setorial funciona assim. Afinal, a gente tem é um convênio que contribui também para o nosso setor, então a gente tem essas contrapartidas. E é algo bem simples, a gente até, inclusive, vai fazer outras sessões para falar com mais detalhes disso. Mas a gente convida todos que ainda não é associado a ser social a tirar dúvidas com a gente. É uma oportunidade estar nessas feiras. A gente sabe que é um super investimento e às vezes não é para agora, para um próximo momento, mas esses momentos também que a gente tem as lives, em que a gente tem esse espaço para conversar, é para que cada um possa se preparar para quando for o seu momento de fazer esse investimento, porque a gente sabe que mesmo tendo desconto, o investimento é muito alto, né? Mas temos as feiras nacionais também, temos as feiras como assim em São Paulo, que vai ser no final do ano, a Rio2C agora em maio, e por aí vai. Então a vida está colocando aí
Como se
na imagem, né?
né? A gente sempre rola algumas dúvidas, a gente gravou tela para explicar para vocês também. A gente pode disponibilizar isso daqui, porque sempre há essas dúvidas de como eu resgato meus pontos para eu colocar dentro da feira que eu quero solicitar a compra, né, da credencial. Então, depois a gente também pode passar essa apresentação para vocês, que quem tiver dúvida pode reassistir essa parte dos vídeos para ficar mais fácil, né, para facilitar para vocês. Eu tenho aqui 4 pessoas que eu gostaria de saber o e-mail delas, que elas estão participando da live com a gente, e aí se vocês puderem chamar a gente lá pelo grupo do WhatsApp ou pelo... né, a gente tem também os nossos números, né, aqui nesse grupo, que seria do Renan Vital, Diogo Duque, Guilherme e Almir Cássio. Eu vi que o Almir saiu já, mas se vocês puderem passar o e-mail de vocês também para a gente manter contato, para a gente entender quem são vocês, se vocês tiverem mais alguma dúvida, poderem falar com a gente, acho que vai ser bem bacana. Ah, que massa, o Diogo já mandou aqui, vou salvar seu e-mail, Diogo, e aí se você também tiver mais alguma outra dúvida e quiser falar com a gente...
Bom, gente, obrigado. Conheci o Daniel, trabalho aqui na PEX, conheci o Daniel, já fiz uma entrevista com ele. Tudo bom, Daniel?
Como é que tá? Tudo bem?
Tudo jóia.
Agora, eu vi agora que eu vi você, eu lembrei.
O responsável pela BM&A aqui na PEX é o Eros, né? Eu trabalho aqui do meu lado e eu tenho interesse especial aqui em participar porque eu estou fazendo um mestrado voltado à música, né? À economia criativa. Então, participar, inclusive, Luísa, mandei um convite lá no LinkedIn para a gente conversar também um pouco mais depois. E, enfim, também entender um pouco mais dos eventos de vocês e tudo. Então, é um prazer, desejo muita sorte, muito sucesso aí no Jazzahead.
Por favor, vai ser um prazer, vou te responder. Que bom que você está com a gente. A gente, mais uma vez, agradece, né, esse convênio com a PEX, que faz a gente fazer...
Com certeza.
Para a gente estar nessas missões em várias feiras super importantes, né, e levar a música brasileira que é tão incrível para mais lugares. Que bom que você está estudando economia criativa, a gente fica feliz. Eu, como venho da música e da cultura,
Eu também,
militante
Tá no
eterna,
sangue, né?
sim, com certeza. Ah, bom, acho que é isso. A vida falou para todo mundo ficar em contato. A gente segue mandando as comunicações. Sei que vamos ver algumas pessoas, né, por lá, no Jazzahead. E tomara que mais pessoas se animem, né, com essa possibilidade. Tá bom, gente? Acho que é isso.
Eu vou parar a gravação no momento aqui. E aí,